Hi everyone, Lee Miwacha here with some information about the Aitken Basin. At first sight, the far side basins with the exceptions of the multi-ringed bullseye of Mare Orientale do not appear as large or as dramatic as those near side. But Clementine discovered the true extent of the far side basins. When the far side southern region, occupied by the dark floored craters Leibniz, von Karman, Poincare, Apollo and Mare Ingenie was charted, it was found to be wholly contained within a vast circular depression more than 2,000 kilometers across and averaging 5 kilometers deep. Named the South Pole, Aitken Basin, this feature is the solar system's largest known impact scar. It had been seen before, most recently in 1990 by the Galileo space probe on its way to Jupiter, but Clementine gave us hard topographical information and detailed images which revealed its sheer size. It is also the deepest impact basin in the solar system, in places going down to 12 kilometers beneath the mean facside surface level. It's no exaggeration to claim that the asteroidal collision that formed the South Pole Aitken Basin more than 4 billion years ago almost destroyed the Moon. A vast quantity of material from the Moon's mantle was churned up and erupted on the surface of the Moon as a result of the collision, and Clementine showed that the basin has a unique surface composition, rich in iron and titanium. It has long been suspected that certain areas at the Moon's north and south polar areas lie in perpetual shadow. These are deep enough to not have been illuminated by the sun's rays for many millions of years. Clementine mapped the entire Moon from polar orbit and found that the Moon's south pole was indeed pitted with features deep enough to experience eternal lunar night. The largest such shadow zone lies over the South Pole immediately to the west of the crater Amundsen and measures over 100 kilometers in diameter. Lunar Prospector launched in January 1998, NASA's final moon probe of the 20th century made the search for lunar water an official quest. On board, a gamma-ray spectrometer measured the composition of the Moon's surface and mapped the distribution of a number of chemical elements. Lunar Prospector's neutron spectrometer specifically detected hydrogen, whose presence in large quantities seemed to indicate the presence of water ice deep within the shadow-filled craters at the Moon's south pole. In July 1999, at the end of its operational lifetime, the probe was deliberately crashed near the lunar south pole. It had been hoped to detect traces of water in the plume thrown up by the impact, but no trace of ejected objects was observed. If lunar ice does exist, it probably arrived over the eons in sporadic cometary packages. Each impact will have vaporized the comet's nucleus, a city-sized dirty snowball producing large clouds of dust and gas which temporarily swathed the Moon. The gases would have frozen and been precipitated in a snowfall over the Moon's cold dark side, but the material would not have survived on the Moon's surface once sunlight had warmed it. Most of the snow would have sublimated, changed from a solid state to gas, and escaped into space. But a tiny proportion of the comet's ices would have survived. It has been deposited in the cold polar shadow zones. Layers of comet snow mixed with lunar rock and soil will have accumulated over millions of years. So far we have been concerned only with those forms of life that might exist on the surface of the Moon. Perhaps conditions favorable to some form of life prevail beneath the surface. Certainly the temperature is more uniform. Through low, water and vital gases might exist there under pressure. Sunlight would, of course, be absent, so those plants that convert inorganic molecules into starches and sugars could not endure. But some people have suggested that highly specialized organisms may have developed, with the bulk of their body parts under the lunar surface. Perhaps small openings here and there in the lunar surface would allow access to similar sunlight to sustain life. Interesting fact, India's Chandrayaan-1 entered lunar orbit in November 2008, where it conducted scientific investigations. Contact with probe was lost in August 2009, but the following month it was announced that data gathered by the probe's Moon Mineralogy Mapper, a NASA instrument, revealed extensive amounts of water in the lunar soil, proving that large areas of the Moon's surface are damp, probably the result of oxygen in the soil combining with hydrogen in the solar wind. You could squeeze a liter of water from each cubic meter of lunar topsoil. India plans a follow-up mission in 2017, Chandrayaan-2, which will entail landing a motorized moon rover. Another interesting fact, following budget cuts and the cancellation of the Constellation Human Spaceflight program, the next U.S. moon mission will likely occur in the early 2020s when NASA's Space Launch System and Orion multi-purpose crew vehicle have been developed. Plans include crewed lunar orbiting missions, including rendezvous with a small robotically captured asteroid that has been placed in orbit around the Moon following a phase of active robotic exploration, and this relative newcomer to human space flight will probably land its own astronauts on the Moon after 2025. I said I would give you the list of places of interest for landing sites: craters Leibniz, von Karman, Poincare Apollo, Mare Ingenii, Eratosthenes, Grimaldi and Agrippa are just some of the potential landing sites. All the best, Limi.